Good day, everyone. I would like to present a PowerPoint titled The Spirit of Papua by Alfiref, featuring Noella Michaelia, Epo the Fenomeno, and Funky Papua, as the analysis of cognitive stylistics for my stylistic subject task. Okay, we will start for the definition of cognitive stylistic itself. Stylistic was uncovering new capabilities as a result of advances in pragmatics, sociolinguistics, and discourse analysis. All of these disciplines provided a methodical approach to investigating apparent intention, non-literal meaning, inference, and implication, ideology and cultural context, and a thorough understanding of context. Importantly, it became clear that the only way to adequately handle literary meaning and aesthetic effects in language was to evaluate entire text and include the attitudes and information that readers brought to the experience. Then, we will talk about the schema theory and metaphorical theory. The schema theory is another well-known cognitive framework that has been proposed in the literature. Schema theory is arguably implied in Rousseau's 1990 reconceptualization of the psychological contract, which repositions it in the employee's head. Schema theory, which emphasizes how information is used when two people create an agreement, is a potentially valuable theoretical lens for assessing the dynamics of the psychological contract. To aid this investigation, we propose that schema theory is a good place to start when looking for new research directions in the following three areas. First, the impact of pre-employment experiences on the content dimensions of the psychological contract. Second, the extent to which information from organizational processes and agents differentially shapes the informations of the psychological contract. And third, the importance of assessing an individual's schema in facilitating a better understanding of psychological contract information. Figures of speech as features of creativity and novelty in language use. Then, figures of speech are devices that are commonly used to convey meaning that is different from the literal meaning of the words by employing various tropes and rhetorical devices. Then Seeger and Switzer asserts that figurative structures are more than just decorative. They are essential and pervasive in language. According to Kurtz et al. In 1998, figures of speech can be used to describe something by using unusual comparisons. This is frequently done to present ideas and imaginations in a more entertaining manner in order to make something clearer or to pique the reader's interest. Okay, here is the lyrics of The Spirit of Papua, whereas the English subtitle will be analyzed from the cognitive stylistic analysis. It started by oceans of as Papuans means oh dear until Etaweri Tonu Papua means home where I grew up. The lyrics begin ocean yo yedu etaweri Tonu ebabanai etaweri Tonu Papua to express the other's gratitude for having all Papua's beauty and spirit and how much he misses the place where he grew up. Continued to Apose song, which is about a grandchild asking his grandparents for permission to visit Doreri Bay in Manokwari. The son of Ayara Fabe and Aswara Kwar appear to add a magical touch to this song, something sacred, holy and revered. Doreri Bay was historically an important part, as evidenced by the number of ships that sang there. For further explanation, we will take a look from the coherence among figures of speech. A is apostrophe. Alfie attempts to establish coherence among figures of speech in order to create new stylistic frameworks characterized by creativity and novelty. For example, Alfie's use of an apostrophe in the title, The Spirit of Papua, demonstrates a very important figure of speech that is commonly used to address absent people or personified things. Apostrophe is nearly synonymous with a lyric voice. Kennedy and Westler Henry on 2006, page 287. We understand that Papua is a noun and that is it. It is inanimate. Therefore, it is impossible for it to have a spirit, because a spirit only refers to a human being or a creature. Spirit is divine as a powerful force that lives in every Papuan's soul, places, and moments. Because the narrator feels those emotions, he just spirit wants to represent them. In other words, the use of the apostrophe as a figure of speech is associated with personification. In the spirit of Papua, Alfie addresses the personified spirit with an apostrophe. Spirit is divine as a powerful force that lives in every Papuan soul, places, and moments. Because the writer feels those emotions, he uses spirit with words to represent them. As a result, the metaphorical formula derived from the linguistic construction. The spirit of Papua is a human being. Next is personification. Alvey actually elevates the notion of darkness to the level of human personality. This is undoubtedly one of the personification's positive features to make the narrative interesting and vivid, and it may be more noticeable in the poetic compositions, where readers understand things as human beings. Indeed, when a human being takes spirit as references, means he do realize how strong the sacred and inner power of Papua includes to the people, culture, place, and all of the things related to Papua. By applying this figure of speech example, that is, in personifying spirit as friends, Alfred tries to alter the reader's perception of the notion of spirit. He transfers features from the source domain to recontextualize them in the target domain, as it is one of the functions of metaphor, is to alter or transform reader's perception of the target domain. The narrator wants to express his feelings and to convey his moral message to anyone or even anything that he sees. Last is from paradox perspectives. Paradox is a figure of speech which is used to combine words or expressions side by side with opposites. In the spirit of Papua title, Alvey maps Papua, who is a place in the source domain, to spirit, which is an inanimate abstract notion in the target domain. Through this mapping, spirit turns into an intimate noun that can have power, unveiling what the narrator would like to say. However, according to our cognitive understanding, spirit is an animate and unintimate thing. So how come an unintimate thing has a spirit? It's absolutely the power of figures of speech, through which Alfie brings the opposite concept together to create a new metaphorical formula that can be evoked here as a spirit is a human being. This portrayal is achieved by using paradox. As additional, we also have the new conceptual mapping and new stylistic frameworks. The first standard thus of the spirit of Papua lyric written "You Yedu Etaweri" means how I miss home. Etaweri tonui ebabanai, home where I grew up. The symbolic importance of the home as a place where a child ideally grows up under the loving care and supervision of parents has been emphasized by various scholars working in children's literature. For example, Virginia Woolf argues that the motive of the mythical home demonstrates our continued need for the possibilities of unity, certainty, and perfections. Indeed, in children's literature, there is frequently a meta plot, which serves to emphasize the main or child character's relationship to the places of home and not home. Next is the word switches and edge work hypothetical and negation words. The word switches in the spirit of Papua's seven stanzas function to construct a particular vantage point from which the spirit events are shown. If they ask who you are and where you come from, tell them we are Papuans. We should give them what we have if they give you what they have. A hypothetical, if closed in text word theory, serves as a trigger for a word switch to an unspecified hypothetical situation. In this case, it depicts a scene in which the narrative explains how people should show how they are and how to treat others. The use of the third person plural pronouns they, as well as the direct address, positions the narrative as a fictional entity or textual in actor. Further exploration is required through the negated multi-clause structure that follows the if clause. Tell them we are Papuans, and we should give them what we have, which necessitates another shift of tension, this time via a negation word switch. In cognitive linguistics, negation is defined as a comparison between an imaginary situation that contains a specific element and a real situation that lacks that element. As the conclusion, though this cognitive stylistic analysis is brief and to the point, it does demonstrate some of the ways in which figures of speech can be used to express creativity in language use. The spirit of Papua is brimming with various figures of speech that Alvi employs expertly to produce a coherent and solid text characterized by creativity and novelty. Alfie successfully employs figures of speech to guide his readers through the fragmentary image he presents in his lyric. He always chooses the appropriate literary device to express what he thinks and feels about something. To explain what something is like, and to convey a meaning in a more interesting and creative manner. The Spirit of Papua introduces numerous new image schema, conceptual metaphors, and mapping types between source and target domains. Alfie accomplished this technique by employing the strategy of coherence among figures of speech. 2. Employing the conceptual mapping and new stylistic frameworks. And 3. Employing some extended text word theory to demonstrate the idea of novelty and creativity in language used in this lyric. Okay, that's all for me. That's all from me. Thank you, everyone.